How many generals and admirals have you fired?
I don't know the exact number, but
You don't know the number. It's 8. Can you explain why any of them were fired? Like, just explain why was...
they all serve at the pleasure of the president. And I think
No, I'm just asking you why.
General Kane is a great example.
I'm just asking you why.
That we
And
need
you probably learned at Princeton what why means. Why did you fire him?
They serve at the pleasure of the president, and we
Why
want better
did you
representation
fire
in
him?
each and every of those.
You can't
and
explain
every
why
one
you
of those
fired any of
places.
them? How many U.S.-flagged commercial ships have transited the Red Sea since your so-called successful operation?
Well, thankfully, unlike the previous administration,
The answer
we
is
had
0.
Military vessels transit.
No, I didn't ask
just
about
this
military
week.
vessels. I
well, which
asked
would
about
be the
commercial
precursor
vessels.
for
How many
civilian and
commercial vessels?
transit.
It's been several weeks. How many commercial vessels, U.S. flagged, have
Well,
transited the
would
Red
you,
Sea?
Mr. Congressman, put civilian ships
The
through
questions
dam
are not to
for
me,
military
Mr. Secretary.
ships?
They're to you.
We have responsibly put military
The answer
ships
is 0.
through first.
I reclaim my time. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Secretary Hegseth, I'd like to clarify a few important details for the record. When you texted the launch time for F-18s going into combat over enemy territory facing anti-aircraft missiles on an unclassified signal chat, did that launch time come from Central Command, yes or no?
I know what you're referring to, and there were no
It's a very simple
targets or
question. Did it come from?
locations
It's a
or-
very simple question. Did it come from Central Command?
Well, in this committee, no way in which I communicate or what I communicate on a successful strike is something that I would share.
So you can't even identify the combatant command under which this operation occurred?
Well, everybody knows the
Okay, so everyone
command
knows
under
it's
which-
Central Command. So when Central Command sent you this information, did they send it on a classified system or an unclassified system?
Well, as you know, having served yourself, any way that the Secretary of Defense communicates or provides information in and of itself is classified and not to be discussed.
So what was the classification marking of the launch time when it was sent to you? Because DoD regulations require information on classified systems to be marked.
What was the classification mark time?
Yeah, what was the classification marking? Because
Again,
DoD
classifications of any information in an ongoing operation that was successful are not things that would be disclosed in a public forum. You know that.
You can very well disclose whether or not it was classified. It's not classified to disclose whether or not it was classified. And in fact, DoD regulations state that any classified information has to be labeled with its classification. Was it classified secret or top secret?
What's not classified is that it was an incredibly successful mission against the Houthis.
Okay, so it was classified. So are you trying to say that the information was unclassified?
I'm not
Okay,
trying to
that's
say
what
anything.
I thought. You're not saying that. So you took classified information from Central Command that had a classification marking on it, because that's what's required by DoD regulations, and you put it on an unclassified system. So we're going to get a report in a few days from the DoD Inspector General. And if the DoD Inspector General finds what is pretty obvious, both to you smiling there in the witness seat and to all of us up here, that the information was, in fact, classified, do you plan to take any accountability for that?
As I pointed out at the time,
You said that accountability is back. Does that not apply to you?
as I said at the time, Congressman, there were no names, targets, locations, units, routes, sources, methods, no classified information.
Okay, so if it comes back that it is classified, will you take accountability or not?
As
We've
I
already
said,
established, you've already admitted that it was classified because everything you get from CENTCOM is classified. You just explained that to me. That's how you justified not answering the question.
not what I said. I didn't confirm any classification or
Okay, so if it is
what I know
confirmed,
is that
will you take
everything I
accountability?
share, everything I talk about,
Mr.
as
Secretary,
of
does
Defense
accountability apply to you or not?
is classified whether I talk or not.
Does it apply to you or not?
Does what apply to me? or not?
Accountability. You said accountability is back at the Secretary. at the
And you know
Pentagon.
what? The Houthis were held accountable for shooting at our
I'm
ships
just asking if it applies
very
to you.
successfully.
I'm not asking about the
previous
Houthis.
administration let our ships get shot at, and nothing was done about it. And thankfully, because of the skill and courage of our troops on
I'm
the
just
battlefield,
asking about
we
I reclaim
actually
my
put them in a
time.
place
I
where
reclaim
they
my time.
called for a ceasefire.
I claim my time. I'm just asking if accountability applies to you. It's a very simple question.
I
We use
serve-
leadership by
Of
example.
course, unlike, I serve at the pleasure of the president like everybody else does.
So it only applies to the president, not to you.
I serve at the pleasure.
You talked about the success of the Houthi operation. About how much money did it cost? How much money did you spend on missiles shooting at the Houthis?
Well, you'd have to compare that with what it costs.
I'm just asking how much did it cost?
divert our shipping lanes around.
I'm told
the
it's
sea.
several $100 million, maybe close to $1 billion. How many U.S.-flagged commercial ships have transited the Red Sea since your so-called successful operation?
Well, thankfully, unlike the previous administration,
The answer
we
is
had
0.
Military vessels transit.
No, I
around
didn't ask
just
about
this
military
week.
vessels. I
Well, which
asked
would be
about
the
commercial
precursor
vessels.
for
How many
civilian and
commercial
commercial
vessels?
transit,
It's been several
thankfully.
weeks. How many commercial vessels, U.S.-flagged, have
Well,
transited the
would
Red Sea?
you, Mr. Congressman, put civilian ships
The
through
questions
dam
are not to
before
me,
military
Mr.
ships?
Secretary,
So
they're to you.
We have responsibly put military
The answer
ships
is 0.
through first.
I reclaim my time. How many generals and admirals have you fired?
I don't know the exact number, but
You don't know the number. It's 8. Can you explain why any of them were fired? Like, just explain why was...
They all serve at the pleasure of the president, and I think
No, I'm just asking you why.
General Kane is a great example
I'm just
of
asking
a
you
leader
why.
that we
And
need
you
at
probably
this
learned
time.
at Princeton what why means. Why did you fire him?
They serve at the pleasure of the president, and we
Why
want better
did you
representation
fire
in
him?
each and every of those.
You can't
each and
explain
every
why
one
you
of those
fired any of
places.
them?
Gentleman's time's expired. Chair, and I
What we just witnessed in this hearing, Congressman Seth Moulton of Massachusetts stepped into this hearing. It wasn't just another political back and forth. It was about something far more serious: national security, accountability, and the rule of law at the highest levels of the Department of Defense. This wasn't a partisan stunt. This was about protecting classified information, the kind of data that, if mishandled, can endanger lives, jeopardize missions, and compromise U.S. military operations abroad. So when Moulton confronted Secretary Pete Hegseth over allegations that he shared combat details on an unclassified signal chat, he wasn't just nitpicking. He was defending the integrity of our defense institutions. Think about what happened here. Moulton, a veteran himself, asked simple, direct questions. Was this information classified? Did it come from Central Command? Were proper procedures followed? And Hegseth couldn't give a straight answer, not once. Instead, he dodged, deflected, and tried to wrap his non-answers in patriotic language about successful operations. But here's the problem. Patriotism doesn't excuse recklessness. It's the same pattern we've seen across the Trump-aligned faction of government. Loud talk about strength and accountability, but when it's time to actually answer for mistakes, the excuses pour in. Seth Moulton was pointing out a double standard, one that says accountability is for the rank and file, not for those at the top. Hegseth, under pressure, tried to talk about success against the Houthis instead of answering how or why classified launch times ended up on an unsecured platform. He even said accountability is back. But Moulton's follow-up cut to the core. Does accountability apply to you? And that's when Hegseth froze. Because the truth is, under this new brand of Republican leadership, accountability is always for someone else. Let's remember, this isn't about politics, it's about trust. If you're sending American service members into combat, they deserve leaders who understand the stakes of operational security. They deserve leaders who protect classified information as sacred, not people who casually share it in signal group chats for bragging rights. Moulton's exchange exposed a bigger issue: how far some in this new right-wing defense circle will go to protect themselves, even when it means compromising ethics and transparency. It's hypocrisy at its peak, and Democrats like Seth Moulton are calling it out for what it is. So when he pressed Hegseth, asking, "Does accountability apply to you or not?" that wasn't just a question. It was a statement to every official who thinks power comes without responsibility. The rules don't stop at your level. This is the kind of oversight our democracy needs: calm, firm, fact-driven questioning that cuts through political theater and reminds the American people that leadership isn't about loyalty to a party or personality. It's about loyalty to the truth and to those who serve. Because at the end of the day, if those in charge can't even follow their own rules of security, how can we trust them with the safety of our troops, our allies, or our nation itself? So yes, accountability is back, but thanks to leaders like Seth Moulton, it's finally being directed where it belongs, at the top. If you believe that accountability in government should never be selective and that our armed forces deserve leaders who protect not just their missions but their integrity, share this video. Let's keep demanding transparency and truth, because democracy can't survive without them.